In this video, we'll create the step-by-step guided tour animation for this sales dashboard. Here I created a simple sales dashboard which has a lot of information. It's showing sales by quarter, by month, by segment and by state, right? And when we use any dashboard or any tool for the first time, we need someone helps, right, to understand what are all information we have on the dashboard or a tool, or how we can use that tool, right? And to avoid taking someone else's help, what we can do is we can create the step-by-step guided tour, which will have a very good user experience and is self-explanatory, right? Here I created a simple step-by-step guided tour for this sales dashboard. If I click on this take it to button, then you can see a simple callout animation is popped up, and it's pointing to this region section, right? And here it's telling select region from the drop down. It's giving a message to the user that we have to select the region from this drop down. And if I click on this step 2 button, then you can see another callout animation is popped up. Now this time it's pointing to this year section, and it's telling enter 4-digit year in this text box, right? So this is the simple callout animation popped up. It's giving a message to the users. And if I click on step 3 again, then you can see another callout animation is popped up. Now this time it's pointing to this quarter, and it's telling select quarter from the drop down. So what it's doing, it's giving a step-by-step guide to the user how we can use this sales dashboard, right? If I click on this step 4, then you can see another callout animation is popped up. Now it's pointing to this category, and it's telling select category from the drop down, right? So it's taking us step by step to this sales dashboard, right? If I click on step 5, now this time it's pointing to this sales text box, right? Now here what it's telling, total sales for this selected dimension. So whatever information we are seeing in this text box, this is the total sales for this selected 4 dimensions, right? So it's taking a step-by-step guide to this sales dashboard. Now if I click on step 6 again, now this time it's pointing to these 2 buttons. Now what it's telling, click on review button to review the calculation, and click on update button to add or update the data, right? Now it's telling what is the use of these 2 buttons. This is very helpful, right, when we have any tool or any dashboard, and to explain to everybody it's a bit difficult, right? Now this step-by-step guided tool will give you a very good user experience and a self-explanatory information to this dashboard or any other tool. And in this video we'll create this step-by-step guided tour animation for this sales dashboard. And if you want to stop this step-by-step guided tour animation, all we have to do is we have to click on this cancel button, then everything will get reset to this original position. In future, or if someone else want to take a tour of this dashboard, then again we can click on this take a tour button, and we can keep clicking on this step to see the step-by-step guided tour for this sales dashboard, right? And if you want to stop in the middle of this process, then we can just click on this cancel button and everything will get reset to the default position. So stay with me on this video, and we'll create this step-by-step guided tour animation in Excel using Excel VBA code. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss any of the video. Alright, so I already taken a copy of this dashboard and will create the step-by-step guided tour animation from the scratch. And to create this step-by-step guided tour, all we need is the buttons to create their steps, and we need the callout options, right? So when we are clicking on this take a tour, we are clicking on this button, right? So we need these buttons, and when we are clicking on these buttons, a callout animation is popping up, right? So we need these callout options. Now let's add buttons to create these steps and the cancel button, right? So before we insert the buttons in this dashboard sheet, so first understand how many buttons we need here. So how many steps we are pointing out for this dashboard, right? So this is my first step. this is my second, this is my third, this is my 4, this is my 5, and this is my 6, right? So total 6 steps we are pointing on this sales dashboard, and plus one button is for take a tour, and the plus one button for the cancel button, right? So all we need is total 8 buttons we have to add it to our dashboard sheet, right? So let's insert buttons on this dashboard sheet, right? Go to the insert menu. Under this illustration, click on this shapes, and from under rectangulars you can select any rounded rectangulars or just a rectangular shape from this rectangular section, right? So let's select this rectangular and insert on this sheet. So we just insert this shape on this sheet, right? So let's format this shape. Select this shape, click on this shape format menu, and from shape fill select any color. So you can choose any color, and to maintain the color theme, so I am using the color which I am using for this sales dashboard here, right? So let me select this color. Now let's give a outline to this shape. Select this shape again, click on shape format, and from your shape outline select this color. You can select any color, and to give a very good view to this shape, we can add some shape effects to this button, right? So let's click on this shape effects. Under from shadow, select this center shadow to give it will give you a very good look to this button here, right? So let's resize this button accordingly, right? So I just want to resize something like this. So now let's add a text to this button. So right click on this shape and select edit text, and give it a name as take a tour, right? You can give any name, so I'm just giving a take a tour. Now let's center this text on this button, right? So let's select this shape again, click on home menu and select center and middle from the alignment section, right? Now we have just created the first button, which is the take a tour. And how many buttons we need like this? So we need total seven more buttons, right? One for the cancel and the other 6 for this steps to point out to any 6 different positions or 6 different sections on this sales dashboard, right? Now let's take a copy of this button. So let's copy, Ctrl+C and the Ctrl+V to paste this one. So right, this is our second button. Now let's rename this to cancel, right? Now let's enter one more time. Now this time we'll rename this to step 1. Now likewise we'll enter this 5 more times, right? So let's rename this to step 2. Now one more time. Now this time we'll rename this to step 3. Now paste one more time. Now let's rename this to step 4. This is the step 5. And last we'll paste this one and we'll rename this to step 6. Right? So we have created button for take a to, for the cancel, and for other 6 steps, right? Now, so before we start doing anything, first what we have to do is we have to rename these shape names, right? So we have added a text with some specific text, right? But there is a name for each of this shape, right? If I select this shape, you can see in the name box manager it's telling a rectangular 1, right? Now if I select another shape, now this time it's telling rectangular 26. Now these are the different naming convention we are getting, right? So rectangular 34. It's a bit difficult to remember the name of these buttons, right? Now what we will do, we'll give a very good naming convention so that we can remember very easily what is the name of this step 1 button or step 2 button and so on, right? And to rename this shape names, all we have to do is you can navigate to this home menu. in the editing section, click on this find and select this selection pane, right? Click on this selection pane, it will open the selection pane here, right? Now it's very easy to rename these shape names in this selection pane, right? Now let's select this first take a tour button, then you can see it's highlighting this section, right? And to rename, what we can do is we can just click on this and we can rename this one, right? So I'm giving a name as take guide tour, right? So I have renamed this first take a tour button. Now let's rename this cancel button also. Let's select this cancel button. You can see rectangular 26 is highlighting, right? Now let's click on this. Now rename this one. Now this time we'll rename this as cancel button. Now likewise, what we will do, we'll rename the shape names for this all 6 buttons, right? So let's select this as step 1, click here and rename this. Now this time we'll give step 1 button, or you can just give a simple step 1, right? Now select this as step 2, click on this highlighted rectangular and rename this to step 2, right? Select this as step 3, click on this highlighted rectangular and now rename this to step 3. Now likewise we'll rename for rest of these buttons. Step 4, this is my step 5. Now this is my step 6, right? So what we have done here, so we have renamed all these shape names, right? Next what we have to do is we have to place this button on each other, right? If you see in my dashboard demo sheet, all my buttons are placed on top of it, right? If I'm clicking on this take a tour button, step 2 button is visible here, right? When I'm clicking on step 2, then a step 3 button is reflecting here. When I'm clicking on step 3, the step 4 button is reflecting. When I'm clicking on step 4, the step 5 button is reflecting, and so on, right? And when I'm clicking on this cancel button, now everything is resetting to the default position, right? So we have to keep our all created buttons on each other, and the first button always it should be a take a tour, right? So all we have to do is, and that we can do very easily, right? So what we have to do is we have to select all these buttons except for this cancel button, right? Because when you see in my dashboard demo sheet, when I'm clicking on take a tour button, the cancel button is showing right before this take a tour button, right? So let me click on this cancel button and we'll go back to our dashboard sheet and we'll keep all these 7 buttons on each other. So let's select this take it to, hold the control key and select this step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, right? So we have selected all 7 buttons, and to place this on each other, all we have to do is click on this shape format, and from here you can click on this align and select align center and align middle. So by this what will happen, all the buttons will be fit on each other. But when you see my demo sheet, here you can see the take a tour button is showing on top, right? So we have to keep our take a tour button on top of all other buttons. And to do that, all we have to do is from this selection pane, you can find this take a tour guide button here, right? This is my button. You just have to hold this and drag this at very first step. So by this what will happen, it will bring this shape to the front. Normally how we will make any shape to the front? By right clicking on the button, you can find this bring to front, right? So this is the option we can do from this selection pane by just dragging up here and there. So that is the step we have done here for this take a to button. So we have keep our take a to button to the front, right? So next what we have to do, so we have to place our buttons on this rectangular shape, right? So let's do this one. And to select all the buttons at once, you can use this selection pane here. You can see all our step buttons are here, right? So let's select all these buttons by holding the control key, right? Next, what we can do, we can hold this and we can drag this here. Now let's resize this cancel button and place the cancel button right before this take a tour button, right? So we are ready with the buttons here. So we have created all the required buttons here. So next, what we have to do, next we have to create the callout option shapes here, right? Because when I'm clicking on this take a tour button, then you can see a callout animation is popping up, right? So we have to create these shapes in our dashboard. And how many callout shapes we have to create here? So we have to create total 6, right? As we are pointing to total 6 sections on this sales dashboard. One for the region, for year, for the quarter, for category, for the total sales, and for the buttons, right? So total 6 callout shapes we need here, right? So let me close this selection pane for now, then we will have a very good space here. Next, we'll insert the callout shapes on this sheet, right? Go to the insert menu, under illustration click on shapes, and all the way down we have this callout options here, right? You can choose any of these callout shapes to create the step-by-step guided. And for this video I'm just using this one callout bent line option here, right? So let's insert this callout bent line on this sheet, right? So we have inserted this one. So let's format this callout shape also. Select this shape, click on shape format, select the shape fill, select the shape outline. Next we'll give a shape effect to the shadow or the center shadow, right? Which will give a very nice 3D look to this shape. So this is my first shape for this region here, right? And we need 5 more callout shapes here, right? So let's take a copy of this 5 times. Control plus C, Control plus V, right? So this is my second callout shape for this year. Now let's paste one more time. This is for the quarter. Now let's paste one more time. This is for the category. Paste one more time. This is for the total sales. And the last, this is for the 2 buttons here, right? So we have created total 6 callout shapes to create our step-by-step guided animation, right? So next, what we have to do? Next, we have to add some text which we want to present to the users, right? When this callout shape is popped up, so what information you want to present to the user? So that information we can enter in this callout shapes here, right? So this is my first shape for my region, right? So let's right click on this, edit text, and we'll enter select region from the drop down. Select region from drop down, right? So let's resize this to fit the entire text, right? This is my first callout for this region. In the second callout, we are pointing to this year, right? So let's add some text to this second callout. Right click, edit, enter 4-digit year in this text box, right? So this is the information I want to give to the user when they use the step-by-step guided tour. And the third callout is for the quarter, right? So let's rename this, the third callout, to the select quarter from drop down. You can give any message, whatever you want to give it here. And just for the demo, I'm just entering a simple definition here, right? and my fourth callout is pointing to my category, right? So let's add some text. Right click, edit text. So here we'll tell select category from drop down. Let's resize this also. And my fifth callout is pointing to this total sales, right? So let's add some text to this fifth callout. Total sales for selected 4 dimension. Let's resize this also. Right. Next, the last callout is pointing to these 2 buttons, right? So let's add some text to this last callout. Use review button to review the calculation. Right. So let's resize this and we'll increase this size. Right, this is my first, and for my second button, use update button to edit or update raw data. Right, so this is the message I want to give to the user when they use the step-by-step guided tour. Right, so we have inserted all 6 callout shapes on this sheet and we have renamed, right? The next what we have to do is we have to give a very good name to these shapes, right? As when we select this shape, you can see in the name box it's telling some callout bent line 1, 2 and 3, right? So we'll give a very good name so that we'll remember which callout is for which step, right? So this is for the first step, this is for the second, and so on, right? And where we can rename this shape names in the selection pane, right? Go to the home menu and from find and select this selection pane, so which will open this selection pane in the right hand side. And to rename this shape, all we have to do is we have to select this callout. Then you can see in the selection pane it's highlighting. This is the name, right? Callout bent line 10, and we'll rename this to, just click on it and rename. You can give a very simple name so that you can remember, right? So I'm just giving a callout 1 here. Let's rename the second callout here. Just click on the second callout, click on this highlighted line on selection pane and rename this to callout 2. And likewise we'll rename rest of the callout options here. The callout 3, this is my callout 4, this is my callout 5, and this is my callout 6. So we have renamed all the callouts with a very good naming convention here, right? So next what we have to do to start any animation or to start the step-by-step guided, right? First we have to place this callout to the exact position where we want to point out, right? So in this case we want to point out to this region, right? So what we have to do is we have to place this callout at the right position where exactly you want to point out, right? So I want to point out to this region. So let's resize this one. So I want to point out to this region, right? So I have placed this here. So you have to place at the right position where exactly you want to point out. So once we click on the button, the animation and this callout animation will pop up right at this position, right? So that's why you have to place this all callout at the right position, right? So this is my second callout and we'll place this second callout for this year, right? So I have placed this here. Now let's resize this line something like this, and when we click on step 2, this one will pop up and it will point at this position, right? In same way we'll place this callout for this quarter also. So I want to place somewhere is here and will point to this one, right? This is how it will look here. And next is for the category. So let me place this here and let's resize this line so that it's point at the right position. Right? This is my position where it's pointing to this category. Next we are pointing to this sales, right? So let's drag this and we'll keep it here and we'll resize this one so that it will point to the right position. Next, this is my last one, right? So, and this one it's about these two buttons, right? So let me place this here and we'll resize this line so that it will point to these two buttons. Right, something like this. So it's up to you where you want to place these callout shapes or any other shapes, right? All we need is, before doing anything, we have to place all the callout shapes or any other shapes at the right position where exactly we want to point out. And here, to create this step-by-step guided tour, we'll play with the hide and unhide option. And if I want to point out, if I want to reflect, or if I want to pop up this callout, right, I can hide all the other shapes and I can just unhide only this first callout. Now we are ready with all the required shapes, and in the part 2 we'll write the VBA code to create the step-by-step guided animation for this sales dashboard. Till then, stay tuned and we'll see you in the part 2 video. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching.